Hey guys, I'm Layla. Welcome to Raid Lore Stories. Today's lore story is going from Marichka the Unbreakable, a champ that was added to Raid in honor of, the Ukraine. She's a very special champ to them. I did cosplay her as well too. I mean, she's gorgeous. Doesn't she just look amazing? I'm really excited for her story, guys, and I hope you enjoy. For the longest time, Marichka's life did not seem blessed. Born into the service of Malvina Nefares, a dark elven sorceress, all Marichka knew of her true parents is what she was told. Her mother had been taken captive and her father killed in a raid by Malvina's servants on a trade caravan. Malvina attempted to ransom Marichka's mother back to several lords, but she refused to tell them her name, and no lord would pay the ransom for an unnamed hostage. So Marichka's mother was placed in a servitude within Malvina's Derasar, the sorceress's temple, the sanctum of midnight dreams. Weeks later, she died in labor. Feeling a twisted form of pity for the orphan Marichka, Malvina chose to raise her as her own. But the dark sorceress saw only an opportunity to raise an apprentice, not a child. Marichka was forced into intense training and study of shadow magic as soon as she was able to walk. For 2 decades, her every waking hour was filled with study, practice, and evaluation in the immediate presence of her mistress. After she had become a formidable sorceress in her own right, Marichka escaped the Desarar by using a spell to blast through its 6 walls. Malvina sent dozens of mercenaries after Marichka, but the girl's skills as a sorceress made her difficult to track. Still, magic leaves traces, and the sorceress' servants were able to pursue her to the plains of Tilshire, east of Durham Forest. As Marichka sprinted across the plains, hunters at her heels, she slung spell after spell behind her to maim or kill as many as she could. Her attempts caught the attention of wandering Taras, who had been traveling to Tilshire to claim a bounty. He turned his horse to the battle and rode to the aid of the lone girl, saber drawn. Taras rode down many of Marichka's pursuers before his horse was run through with a spear. He leapt from his steed before it fell to the ground and laid Malvina's hunters low. He cut them down one by one, his saber a storm, his strikes lightning. Marichka joined the fight, hurling spells at any who threatened to overwhelm her savior. Together, they drew her pursuers into a retreat. Taras brought Marichka to his homestead in the north of Tilshire Plains, where she could recuperate and form plans for the immediate future. Marichka was not quick to trust Taras, for in the Desarar, no kindness was without an unspoken expectation. She took leave in the night, but not without Taras's keen ears hearing her gate clatter close. He followed her for her own protection. This proved wise, for Malvina, furious that the failure of the first party had come from Marichka herself. Unbeknownst to Marichka and Taras, the remnants of the first party had followed them to a careful distance, found the homestead, and had taken this knowledge to their mistress. As Marichka skulked through the night, she was ambushed. Fighting off her attackers in a strategic retreat back to Taras's homestead, Marichka bought herself enough time for Taras to see flashes of magic in the distance. While dozens of Malvina's untrained fanatics posed little threat to Marichka and Taras, the presence of the dark sorceress gave Marichka little hope of escape. Only the knowledge that Malvina wanted her alive gave Marichka the edge. Using the most dangerous magic she knew, she launched explosive fireballs, deadly masonic clouds, and sharpened stones at her mistress. Malvina was forced into the defense and rage as she had taught Marichka too much too quickly. Taras fought off the foot soldiers with ease, with the lightning of clashing spells bathing the battlefield in eerie glows of crimson, green, and yellow. As her fighters were slain around her, Malvina reluctantly ordered a retreat, fearing the combined might of her relentless enemy. While the battle was lost, Malvina chose to bide her time. The opportunity to reclaim her apprentice would one day present itself. Taras returned home with a weak and frail Marichka. The old warrior nursed the wounded sorceress back to health, doting on Marichka day and night until she recovered. She was so moved by Taras's care for her that when the time came for her to leave, Marichka refused to go. An unbreakable bond had been forged. From that point on, Taras took care of her as a daughter, not an apprentice, and Marichka learned all she could from the wise man of the plains. The two fought side by side for many years, entering an annal of legend as stalwart defenders of those who yearn for freedom. They are now said to ride together at the head of the Arbiter's host, heralded by hoofbeats and a bold song of victory. What an interesting story, you guys. Okay, so for those of you that had been wondering, since Marichka and Taras are like, they have they're a tandem duo, right? They have shared abilities, so they're not a couple. They're actually more like father-daughter. Like, it's basically, he kind of adopted her because she didn't have anybody. He saved her, he adopted her, and their family is what they are. So that's a nice little twist. Normally the champs we see recently, they add in their tandems or actual like couples, right? So this is a little bit different. Guys, drop me some comments down below what you think of the lore story for Marichka, and thanks so much for watching.